All right, witches and bitches. Today we are talking about what oracle cards have to do with weight loss, which sounds ridiculous, I know, until you realize midlife weight loss, which is a whole different ballgame, is way less about food than we think. And I don't think these beautiful cards are going to magically make you lose weight. I do think they can help women reconnect with themselves. And that, you guys, is the game changer. And this is why weight loss and woo go hand in hand. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it today. But the foundation of this, all of us know, anyone seeking higher health, higher self, weight loss, we know this isn't about the food. We know what to eat. We've been on the journey. We don't struggle because of a lack of information, right? We struggle because we're emotional eating, because we're buffering, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed. We've abandoned ourselves. We put everybody else in the world ahead of ourselves and stop putting ourselves first, stop taking care of our nervous systems. And we've put ourselves in survival mode, right? And what does it look like when we fully trust ourselves again? And this, my friends, can be a path inside. I know back in 2017, when I set out on my last weight loss quest, where I really uncovered that it was this, it wasn't about food. It was about the woo, the stuff that I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but maybe, this is where I found that, like, on my journey, as I set out the last time I was in this 300-pound ball of misery, a lot of you guys have heard this story over and over again. But to sum it all up, I ended up at a weight loss clinic going to get weight loss surgery. And lucky for me, it takes 6 months and they send you to this nutritionist who was like 21, just got her nutrition license. Or swear to God, I knew more about nutrition and food than was in her entire finger. And she had never worried about food. You could tell, right? It was like food pyramid all the way. And I was just like, oh my God, this is not right. I've got to keep looking. I'm not here because of this. I'm not here because I don't know what to eat. What the fuck? Of course I'm not. None of us are. It's all this deeper shit. And so the first thing I learned was how to meditate. I didn't get into the Oracle deck yet, but we'll get there. The first thing I learned was how to meditate, and meditation taught me that I was the observer of my thoughts, that I could see myself thinking, that I was like, this opened a whole new world for me. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's like another me in there, like our soul, right? Like you are on the ride. When you get really still, you can see that so clearly. And this is why so many of us find meditation difficult, because there's so many thoughts going a million miles an hour. And also because you know that, you can see them. And that, my friends, changes the game right there. That puts us into awareness. And this is where I'm always talking about, it's not about the weight loss, right? It is about the quest for something more, something deeper. And our bodies, what our bodies truly want is to feel safe, is to feel like at home, like that space I get in meditation, like it's all going to be okay. We are stressed as hell. Most midlife women, listen, our hormones are going through a whole nother change. Our brains are being rewired, which, by the way, is a 10-year process for that rewiring to happen. So in aspect, and a lot of our teenagers are hormonal too. So we've got teenagers at home changing the hormones, us midlife women changing hormones. We're stressed out, we're exhausted because our nervous system needs something different at this place. And our survival brain, it doesn't want transformation. It wants you to stay safe. It wants you to keep eating the bonbons and the fucking pizza while you're binging Netflix. That feels good. That feels easy. That's how it's gotten its rewards. And before you know it, it's like a runaway train. And I've seen some studies too about how drinking increases among midlife women. This is one of the first of my arch nemesis was the wine wench. And I know I'm getting a little off topic. We'll get back to your oracle cards here, but I just have to say, like, us not knowing where to seek and what to look for. And I got to tell you, there is a path, you guys. And we all have a different path, I think, but there is a system that can help get you there. And self discovery is all part of that journey, and you can make it fun and you can have fun while you're doing it. So here's where I see this so interesting with the new community I'm building because I ask these questions with people coming in. Hey, are you here for the woo, the weight loss and the woo, just building your alter ego? Like, what is really calling to you? And a predominant high number of the women coming in the community are there for weight loss and the woo. And like, we've started to be on this quest of being curious because we know it's something more, right? We know we want something that we haven't done to take care of ourselves yet. And so we do things like practice tapping and yoga. And even walking is a meditation of itself, right? These things we do to take care of our bodies better, calming the nervous system down. This is what meditation did for me that first time. When I was in that 300-pound ball of misery, I learned to meditate. Within 2 weeks, I was dropping weight. My daughter was like, who the hell are you? Right? Solutions were coming to me like that. I was so much more at peace. It immediately regulated my nervous system. And so can tapping, so can all these other things, walking, breath work. And it's called woo, but you guys, there's so much science behind it. So in my community, I like to get into that. And this week we're doing woo meets science meets movement. And it makes it fun and it makes it these quick little action steps you can take toward this understanding of yourself better and what you truly need. Because it's rarely the food. We need very little food to exist, it turns out. I was really upset to figure that out on my journey. So somewhere along on my path, you guys, picked up my first Oracle deck and I actually got it at Costco and I had no idea what it was. I felt like this woo imposter. I had been to yoga the same way I got to meditation. I just knew I was curious. And I was at the Costco, they have those lines of books. I don't even think they do that anymore, right? But they had these lines of books and they had this chakra deck there. And I thought, oh, this would be an interesting way to learn more about the chakras and how they work in my body or whatever. So I got that card deck and I was hooked. And I learned not just so much about the chakras, but I learned about myself. I went on this whole journey of, oh my gosh, and starting to listen to myself and starting to trust myself again. And then before you knew it, it just it took off. And then I'm like, I've got another deck, another deck. Listen, I'm in an Oracle cards group. And by the way, I'm speaking at a summit and it's free. There's going to be 49 other women speaking there. So I'll put it in the show notes for you guys. If you're watching this real time, you can come join us. It's next week, but so much fun, right? And I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing in these spaces, but that's starting to go away because what I know about this to be true, about Oracle decks, about intuition, about getting in connection with your highest self, with that observer right inside, is that it can look different for everybody. And your way is not better than my way. My way is not better than yours, right? Being curious about it can lead you into knowing that there's something in that for you. So the cards themselves aren't magic. And some people will argue with me on this. Whatever. Maybe your cards are magic. That's cool. I like to think there's magic in all my stuff too. Don't get me wrong. But it's the pause, right? That's the magic, the reflection, the self-awareness, the discovery, the intuition, that thing we were told, oh, that's just women's intuition. Just shove that down. Yeah, thanks a lot. Now we spend the whole rest of our effing life trying to recover our intuition because we've shoved it down because we've shoved the divine feminine so far down. We don't even know where the hell she is. I don't know about you guys, but corporate Addie lived in masculine energy. Right? Getting things done, driving energy. And I need that energy. That's great. But also, I've got 5 motor centers lit up. I needed a lot more of this than probably your average person. So as I was diving into this, it was counterintuitive to everything I knew. I mean, on a weight loss journey, I knew how to go to CrossFit and eat paleo and lift weights and swim 5,000 yards and over the top achieving, right? Where what if we're just believing? What if we're just tapping into this knowing right inside that everything is exactly how it's supposed to be right now? We're in full acceptance. We're in full living in love, right? And what if something as simple as this can guide you there every day, right? So this is just one of the tools I use. And I'm going to show you guys how I use this. So in case you're curious, and you can come in my community, we're doing this all the time. In fact, this Wednesday, I'm doing a Woo Wednesday card draw, Oracle card draw, right? And so we're just going to have a little fun with it and play with it. And some people are just dabbling in, and some people aren't interested at all, you know? I think it's where you're at in your journey. It's like when I was scared to buy my first Oracle deck at Costco. Now, you guys, you can get the same inspiration from doing something like getting a quote online, or like my numerology app has this quote every day. That's inspiration. That gives me something to self-reflect on. Now, Oracle cards typically will have a deeper story in it, a deeper message for you, right? So sometimes to me, the message will come through the picture. Like if I'm looking at, let's pick the Vishuddha here, right? Like this is like my throat chakra card. This is my yogic path deck. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, you won't be able to see this, but it's a beautiful deck and it is so worn out. My cover is totally flat. Like I probably need a new one of these, but like I said, I get married to a deck, but I can look at this picture and like I drew it face up, right? So an opening of the throat, right? Like what does that look like when my throat fully opens there? You know, I'm trying to get this so you guys can see it on screen. It's a beautiful card. You know, so I might take some reflection from this. I'm opening up. It's helping to open up this whole energy center. There's butterflies. It's awakening. Like I'm speaking my truth here, my authentic self. Is there something I'm holding back that needs to come out? Like, you know, this me speaking here, how funny I'm drawing this while I'm on a podcast, right? Using my voice. So you can use them in all different kinds of ways. But one of the things I do is in my Me First Guide planner, every day I have a little reflection area. And I will put this up on the screen for you guys too, or try to get it here. But I have a little reflection area where I go and I say, okay, I make my plan. And then I say, what is going to get in my way today? And then I pull my cards and I write any inspiration up in my card pull area. And then I have 3 decks I currently do that with. What if it was as simple as you just pulling a card every day and saying, what do I need to know today? And sometimes this card will be, you need tapas, you need energy, you got to get to the mattresses, right? Like you need to get to work. Like why are these obstacles in your way? Are you procrastinating? Sometimes it'll be a message like that. And sometimes like the other day, I was struggling with some health things and I knew like I needed to rest, but I also knew I wanted to create these things I had on my agenda for the day. So all my motor centers, my masculine type A energy was wanting to get all the things done. So this happened this week, you guys. I was just kind of feeling crappy. I had some health stuff going on and I thought, you know, I just need to push through, just get up and do what you can. And I went through my morning routine. I did my meditation, my journaling, all of that stuff. And I got through the part on my journal where I pulled the cards. And all of the cards were rest, rest, rest. And just in my gut, I knew that was what I needed to do that day. And I just shut everything else down. Now, could I have come to that conclusion without the cards? Yes. But it's just like going to see your spirit guides, which I know I'm really breaking some of you down on that one, right? But same thing. It's like confirmation of truth that is already right within you because it's all right within us. It's just like creating your future self or your alter ego identity. These things that might be considered because everything starts in our imagination, right? And if we can change it from this space, like from visualization, rehearsing, from daring to trust ourselves again and really listen to what we know is true, and then start to create from that space, from leaning into what am I really meant to do, to put out in the world, to show up as today? What do I need to live as my highest self? What is going to help me get to that next level? And sometimes it isn't going and pushing through your weight routine at the gym. Sometimes it's lying down in child's pose and surrendering. Just saying, I give it over, I rest. Where is the rested woman? So this happened on my journey, you guys, as I was navigating my future self, like creating my future self and uncovering all this mystical work, the work I couldn't touch, the spiritual, the path that leads right inside to that higher self, that is the observer, that is the one to come here and play and find the joy and gratitude in life. As I was on my path of planning and conquering and mastering, as I was in that masculine energy, I kept uncovering more and more of this, and notice how good I felt the more I lent into that. And like we all do in a spiritual awakening, a spiritual quest, we will go so far in that other end. And some people stay in there and they're living in the 5Ds. But I know I am meant to live in this world and help others on their mission to uncover what more is inside of us on this weight loss journey and on any goal getting journey, really. And especially as midlife women, as we are coming into this new era, and we are so needed to step up and step into these roles that we have been cultivated for. Dr. Mindy Pelz will talk about this on her podcast. There's one of her guests she had on that has done a lot of studies around the grandmother theory and how the crones of the old ancient civilizations, the grandmothers, because they didn't have kids to take care of anymore, they weren't the ones out hunting, but they were the ones actually creating the community. They were foraging. They were making sure people were fed. They were making the alliances, if you will. They were running shit. We are here to run shit. We are here to light it up. And that truth is inside each of us. So what if, and I know this might be a little out there for everybody, but what if your weight loss quest, which might have gotten you to click or listen to this video, or what if your weight loss quest is leading to that, is leading to self-discovery and excitement and purpose? I can tell you 1 week after my Me First Guide event and open to my new community, we've all set goals and like everyone's slaying it again. And we're stepping into these more spiritual living practices. And I call it Me First. But if we're getting down to it, it's the woo stuff. It's the meditating, being in nature, getting sunlight on your face, getting your feet in the earth. Why this is considered woo, any of that is mind blowing to me now. But I remember before 2017, I was like, all of that was really woo, right? I'm like, whoa, look at that. Yoga was about as far as it got. And I went to my first yoga class that was chanting, and I was like, wow, I felt that. You know what I mean? You know when something hits you like that, you guys? So this is where it all came out, like as I was on that quest and understanding that finally that the weight was never just about the weight. That's why when I had this regain these past couple of years, and by the way, I'm down another couple pounds. We're breaking in a new decade next week. Weighing in live on YouTube, you guys. So check me out here. If you're watching on YouTube, follow and subscribe. And if you're on the podcast, go in the show notes so you can join me over there because I'm sharing it all. You know how I do. I get on the scale every Friday and bear it all. I do wear a bathing suit though, so don't get too excited. Okay, I digress, of course. So understanding that like sometimes life feels heavy, and I knew that the weight wasn't about the weight, that it was about everything but that. And I was so uncomfortable in my life, in my body, and I had gotten away from so much of my spiritual routine. Like I just felt like I just couldn't even. When sometimes I feel like we go through these spaces, like I continue to meditate, but so much of what I just shared with you, my morning pages, my plan, my yoga, all of that had kind of got pushed aside while I had health things going on. And the more and more I realized I'm set up in these times of tests and discomfort in my life to prepare me for what's next, or to learn a lesson in that moment, to learn how to extend beyond the pain or discomfort in my body to get in that space of the observer, of the self, of the true self. And all of this starts to build trust with yourself. If you truly believed we're all spiritual, if you truly believe that everything was energy, like how would you live your life then? How would you show up if this was just a game? What would it look like? You know, and the oracle cards, I thought this was just kind of fun to bring up today because this can be a fun pathway in, because sometimes life feels heavy. Sometimes you just need confirmation. You already know the answer inside of you. What's going to happen is you're going to pull the card. You might look at the picture, you're going to read the book, and you're going to be like, oh, that hit me. It's rare I pull a card and it doesn't hit me. Usually, if that happens, it's a new deck or I have someone else around me or I'm thinking about them. But usually, it is something that I'm like, yes, 100% that I needed to hear that today. And no matter what it is, I think I could pull any card and it would be relevant, right? So sometimes with the weight, you guys, it's grief. It's grief for yourself, it's resentment, it's burnout, it's people pleasing, unlived dreams. What else? Disconnection, abandoning ourselves, not putting ourselves first. So this is where that soul starts awakening when you start to realize, hey, it's something more. Like, I'm not broken. I'm going to see what else. What if I start trying new things? What if I start looking at things a different way? And what if I go in on my future self? What if I start believing that I create my life, that I'm here to play this badass game of life? And how could I create it in the most spectacular way possible? And how could I have so much fun with it? Maybe it looks like an oracle deck. Maybe for you, it looks like swimming in the ocean every day. What do these things look like? We're going deep in visualization in my group right now. And I'm starting to get really excited to learn these techniques in this book I have. And I'll share it with you on an upcoming episode when I have more info, you guys. But the idea of we create in our minds, we see it in our minds don't know any different. Does that blow your mind? How much weight we put into the physical when our minds are just as powerful? And how much are we leaning into one side or the other? And this is why the woo, if you will, is so important on any kind of quest, but especially when you're overcoming something like being overweight your entire life and being like, I've tried everything. Have you, though? Have you tried everything? Have you stepped into it? I was just coaching with someone tonight and I'm like, she was like feeling like, oh, I'm just keep doing the same stuff. And I'm like, well, no, you're not, because you keep showing up here every week. And every week I see you trying different things. And some of those things have stuck and they work for you. And I'm like, now you're the person that wakes up, meditates, journals, plans, goes and does her day. You know, you might not have lost the weight you wanted to, but you started to create the person that is that person. And what else does she look like? And how do we bring more and more of those attributes in? Because the woo, if you will, you guys, it's not about escaping reality. It's not about just totally playing this game, right? But it is about that reconnection to ourselves, building self-trust, strengthening our intuition, believing in ourselves. And this changes our behavior over and over again. Awareness of things alone changes choices. Just like I told you about all these women that came and planned with me, they're all like, I saw myself really thinking about, hey, do I want to eat that right now? Right. And sometimes you need resets. This is why I started that community, because I can't stop having that. I show up here and have it with you guys and live on the internet, but I have so many other support systems set up around being in awareness and learning to trust myself again. And when I see myself out of alignment, when things get heavy or uncomfortable, then I know, hey, maybe it's time to get in that stillness more. And that's when I doubled down and I made meditation my habit again this quarter. Because if there's one thing I know, you guys, it's not about seeking outside of ourselves. It's about the path right inside. All right. I will light you up next week. Follow, subscribe, follow along, share. Come see me at Oracle Card Summit or in my community. And let's light this bee up. Let's find that something magic right inside. See you soon. Slayer out.